The first time I ever publicly challenged Mark. I had no idea it would feel like daring a tornado to kiss me. But there I was, in the middle of the crowded school courtyard, my heart pounding like it had its own drumline, shouting, "I dare you to kiss me!" The words slipped out before I could swallow them back, and the laughter of everyone around us hit me like a wave. I wished I could sink into the asphalt. Mark froze. His smirk wavered. That smirk, it had been my personal nightmare for months. The guy who made my life hell in the cafeteria, in the hallways, on the bus. And now, under the mocking sun, I had just turned the tables on him. Or so I thought. He stepped closer, the crowd parting automatically around him, as if everyone knew some unspoken chaos was about to unfold. The air between us tightened, charged with a tension I had never anticipated. My hands, trembling slightly, clenched the edges of my hoodie, trying to anchor myself in reality. I wanted to look brave, daring, untouchable. "What did you just say?" His voice was low, teasing, with that dangerous edge that had haunted my dreams more than once. I said, "I dare you," I squeaked, trying to sound firmer than I felt. My eyes refused to leave his. He was impossibly close now, just a breath away, and I could feel the warmth radiating off him, mixing with the pounding of my own pulse. The crowd hushed, sensing the storm. Some dared to giggle. Some pulled out phones. My stomach twisted in knots. What had I expected? That he'd back off? Embarrassed? Humiliated? No, that wasn't Mark. He tilted his head, smirk slowly curling back into place, that maddeningly infuriating smirk that made my knees weak. "You really want this?" he asked, his tone dripping with amusement and something else I couldn't quite place. Something electric. Something that made the world narrow down to just him and me, as if no one else existed. I nodded before I could think, and in that instant time seemed to stretch. The whole courtyard melted away, the sun, the chatter, the distant bell, all of it faded until there was only him. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, flicked down at my lips and then back to my eyes. And just when I thought he'd pull away, just when I expected the mockery, he leaned in. The first contact was almost imperceptible, a brush of lips that made my stomach leap like a trapped bird. My mind screamed rebellion, embarrassment, and shock all at once. And yet, the warmth of it was undeniable. The world tilted slightly, and I realized, too late, that I had invited chaos into my carefully controlled life. The kiss broke quickly, leaving me gasping and flushed. Mark's smirk softened slightly, and I noticed a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Not bad," he said, a teasing lilt in his voice that somehow made my chest ache. I wanted to hate him. I should have wanted to crawl into a corner and die of humiliation. But instead, there was this jolt, this something twisting inside me. A thrill I hadn't expected. The same thrill I saw in his eyes, too, and it terrified me. Why did you do that?" I managed to stammer, my voice cracking under the weight of my own racing heartbeat. Mark shrugged, his expression unusually candid for someone who thrived on teasing. "Maybe I wanted to see if you'd actually mean it," he said. And then he winked, and my brain short-circuited entirely. As the crowd erupted into cheers and laughter, I felt dizzy, not from humiliation, but from the strange, exhilarating pull of something I hadn't anticipated. Mark didn't move away entirely. He stayed close, just enough to feel the heat of his shoulder against mine, his presence like a dangerous, magnetic force I didn't know how to resist. For the first time, I wasn't just the kid being bullied. I was part of a secret I wasn't sure I was ready to name. And yet, with every teasing glance, every subtle touch, I felt a strange sense of belonging I had never known before. The bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, but I couldn't move. Mark's eyes followed me as I stepped back, our shoulders brushing. That tiny contact sent a shock through my chest, and I realized I wanted more of this tension, this forbidden closeness, this chaotic mix of anger, desire, and laughter that left me breathless. As we walked away, side by side, there was no declaration, no promises, just the weight of unspoken words, a silent acknowledgement that something had changed. and I had no idea if I was ready for it or if I even wanted to be. The following days were a blur. Every glance from Mark, every accidental brush of his hand, sent shivers down my spine. It was like walking on a tightrope, thrilling and terrifying at the same time. I had no idea if he was playing a game, or if he truly felt anything beyond the smirk and teasing words. But I couldn't stop thinking about him, couldn't stop replaying that fleeting kiss in my mind. I found myself waiting for him at the edge of the courtyard, pretending to be casual while my stomach did somersaults. When he approached, I felt both dread and excitement. He leaned casually against the railing, a challenge in his eyes, the same smirk I hated and loved all at once. "You're staring," he said, his tone playful but soft, as if testing my reaction. "I'm not," I replied, though my voice betrayed me. Mark laughed lightly, and then, unexpectedly, he stepped closer. This time, there was no teasing, no smirk, just him, and something raw and vulnerable in his gaze that caught me completely off guard. "You don't have to dare me every time," he said quietly, his voice almost a whisper. "I can kiss you without an audience." My heart skipped. Without an audience? That simple statement felt like a confession. My lips parted, but I couldn't find words. Instead, I let my eyes speak, and apparently, that was enough. He moved closer, and this time the kiss wasn't brief. It was deliberate, gentle, and warm. His hand brushed the side of my face, and 1,000 unspoken feelings seemed to flow between us. The chaos and tension of our first public kiss transformed into something intimate, something ours. I felt my walls crumble, my fear dissolve, replaced by a trembling, joyful surrender. We pulled back slightly, foreheads resting together, breaths mingling. I could see the same mixture of awe and disbelief in his eyes that mirrored my own. "You're insane," he murmured, but it sounded more like admiration than insult. "Maybe," I whispered back, heart racing, "but maybe it's worth it." From that day on, everything shifted. The teasing didn't completely stop. Mark could never fully resist, but it was softer, more playful, less cruel. There were secret smiles, fleeting touches in the hallway, and notes left in lockers that made my heart soar. We discovered a rhythm together, balancing on the edge of defiance and intimacy. One evening, after practice, he caught me as I was leaving the gym. The sunset painted the sky in hues of gold and pink, casting a warm glow over the empty track. He took my hand without asking, guiding me to a quiet bench. "I don't want anyone else to see this," he said, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. "Just us." I swallowed, the weight of anticipation pressing in. And then he kissed me again, slow and steady, like he was memorizing every detail of me. My chest swelled with a happiness I hadn't thought possible just weeks ago. All the bullying, all the tension, all the embarrassment, it had led to this. To him. We sat there for what felt like hours, talking in whispers, sharing things we had never shared with anyone else. I learned about the pressures he faced at home, the insecurities behind his bravado. He learned about my constant battle to stand tall despite fear. And somehow, in that raw honesty, our connection deepened. Over time, the fear of ridicule faded. We didn't care about the whispers in the hall or the occasional shocked look from classmates. We had each other, and that was enough. Every stolen moment became a treasure, every shared laugh a memory etched into our hearts. One afternoon, as we walked through the quiet park near the school, he stopped, turned to me and said, "I never thought I'd say this, but I like you. A lot. More than I've ever liked anyone." My chest tightened with emotion, and tears threatened to spill. "I like you too," I admitted, voice trembling. "More than I can even explain." He grinned, that infuriating, heart-melting grin, and then kissed me again, sealing our feelings with a certainty that felt like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. We leaned against each other, laughing softly, wrapped in the simple, profound joy of being together. There was no need for dares or challenges anymore. Our bond was real, built from chaos, courage, and a growing understanding of each other's hearts. Looking back, I realized that daring him in front of the crowd wasn't reckless, it was the spark that ignited something neither of us expected. A love that had begun in defiance had grown into tenderness, trust, and happiness. And though the path had been messy, confusing, and full of unexpected emotions, it was ours. Every moment of doubt, every glance, every kiss had brought us here. Mark laughed again, resting his forehead against mine. "We're a mess," he said, smiling. "We're perfect," I corrected him softly, letting a laugh escape me. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. Perfectly imperfect, wildly chaotic, but ours. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, and as we walked hand in hand through the empty streets, I knew that no matter what came next, we would face it together. The fear and the tension of the past had transformed into something beautiful, a love that was unexpected, unplanned, and completely, undeniably ours. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.